Want to learn how to change the color of a white shirt to anything else, even black? Well, today that's exactly what I'm going to teach you. If you want to follow along, you can download the stock photo link in the description. So, you might notice that this white shirt has some color information in it. Well, that's because as humans, we like white shirts with a slight bit of blue in them. This is because, look at this, I desaturated the shirt just a bit and it already looks so much older. So you might think, hang on a sec, let me use that color information to my advantage. Let me turn on colourise. I want a red shirt, so let's go to red. Saturate a bit, too bright for me, so let's turn down the brightness. Okay, let's complete the layer mask quickly. It's very rough, but this looks shit. It is not good. Does not look realistic, and it does not work with dark colors at all. Like, there is no highlight in the shadows are flat. You've basically lost most of the information. Maybe you could get to work for some colors, manually painting highlights, etc. But that's going to take you so long and it's not worth it. And especially when the result isn't even that good. So, how would you do it? Well, first let's duplicate the background layer just so we have a duplicate. Just in case we screw up or anything. Next, we want to make a selection of this shirt. You could do this using any of your favorite selection tools. For this, I'm going to use the selection mask dialog. So you can select any of the selection tools here to open it. I chose the one tool and go to selected mask up here. I'm going to turn down the opacity for a bit, just so I can see what I'm doing. And with the quick selection tool, I'm just going to make a quick selection of the shirt. And as you can see, it does a pretty good job. Just going to go over each and every bit. And if you don't like what it selects, you could always hold Alt and subtract it, or you could refine it later. So don't worry about the hair right now, because I'm going to show you a quick trick. Get rid of the hair from the selection. Let's go to the refine edge brush. Okay, I'm going to turn the opacity way up. You can see exactly what I've got. Well, I don't want the hair in this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select outside with the refine edge brush, and then brush over the hair. And you can see it's disappearing, it's getting deselected. And just for safekeeping, we could do another pass. And you could play around with the global refinements such as smoothing, etc. But I'm going to leave it just how it is. And when you're done, just click OK. I don't want a new layer with the layer mask, I just want a selection. Click OK. Next we're going to create a hue saturation layer. And we're going to desaturate it all the way. Why are we doing this? So that the blue color information does not affect any of the later colors we choose. Next, let's say I want a red shirt. So let's do exactly that. Create a solid color. And I want this red colored shirt. You can copy the layer mask over by holding Alt and then dragging it. And then clicking yes when it shows the replace layer mask. But that's going to be long. We create so many adjustment layers, copy the layer mask over several times, and just if we want to make an edit like these halos you see here, if I want to edit that, I have to edit it, then copy all the layer masks over again. If I change my mind later, let's that's just a waste of time. So here's a quick trick you could do. Create a group of these layers by pressing Ctrl J, or by selecting them and dragging them to the create group icon. What we're going to do, we're going to drag the layer mask over onto the group. That way, whatever we do to the group, no matter if it has a layer mask or not, will only affect the shot. A quick trick you could do to remove these halos is go to the brush tool with white as the foreground color and change the color to overlay. Blend mode to overlay. What does this do? Well, if I paint with white on the black areas, nothing changes. If I paint with white on the white areas, nothing changes. Same if I paint with black on the white areas or black on black areas. But watch this. These areas are grey. If I paint with black over them, that erases them without affecting anything else. And if I paint on these grey areas with white, the halos should disappear. Mostly. You can spend ages on refining this properly, but for the sake of the tutorial, I'm going to leave it just there. Quick tip, always make sure to change the blend mode back to normal after you're done, because next thing you know, you're painting and it's just not working, because you forgot to change the blend mode. For the color fill layer, we're going to change the blend mode to multiply. This is because it darkens everything with the color information that we want. But this doesn't, the color is nice, but it doesn't look right. So how do we darken the shadows and lighten the highlights? Well, we'd create a curves layer. So, we darken the shadows. That's already looking so much better. And with the highlights, try not to overdo it. I'm happy about there. And if you want, you could keep playing around, manually painting more shadows, etc. But I'm happy with this. So I'd say it looks pretty realistic, especially if you refine the mask around the hair and the necklace. And this doesn't work with just red. What if you wanted the blue shirt? Well, there you go. You've got a blue shirt. You might need to adjust the curves layer just a bit, but you should be fine. Now, what if you wanted to create a black shirt? Well, in the real world, nothing is 100% black. That would mean that it absorbs all light and reflects none of it. In the real world, anything which is black is actually just a dark grey. So I'd say that's about fine. That's 20% grey. And if you want, you could add a slight tint to it. I'm going to leave it completely desaturated. Next, we'd apply a curves layer like before. The shadows aren't dark enough, so let's darken the shadows. But that doesn't look right, that just looks dark, there's no highlights. And if we brighten it, yeah, it just doesn't seem to work. Well, if we brighten the value, that appears better, but it just doesn't have that appeal to it. So what could we do? Well, let's create another curves layer. And let's brighten the highlights as much as possible. Now those highlights look a lot better, but we lost all that dark shadow information. And we only want this to apply to the highlights. So, how could you make it so it doesn't apply to the dark areas and only applies to the highlights? Well, we could do blend if. Double tap on the layer and the layer styles dialog appears. Over here in blend if, watch as we move the slider. It gets removed from the dark areas and only applies to the light areas. But this transition is very harsh. So let's split the arrow by pressing Alt, and let's smooth that transition off. And that looks significantly better. Now, I don't think it's dark enough, so let's darken the color a bit. And let's add a bit more highlights. So, once again, we'll turn the brightness all the way up. Blend F. Take it away from the shadows smoothly by splitting the arrow. Now that looks quite a lot like it was plastic. We want a bit of a smoother transition, so we're going to spread the arrows out a bit more, so it looks more natural. I'm going to decrease the opacity of this as well to decrease the strength. And when you look at that, I'd say that looks fairly realistic. Now if you spent a bit more time adjusting the mask around the hair, around the edges, the necklace, make sure all looks fine, you'd get a pretty realistic result. You can spend as much time on this as you like, and I hope you learnt a lot. Please leave a like if you learnt anything, and comment down below any questions you have. I hope you enjoy it, and have a nice day.